Hey, Gary Mintchell here, and this is a new series I'm starting, Mintchell On, and this will be differentiated from another series of podcasts and videocasts I'll be doing on the Automation World website, my traditional automation minutes and occasional Mintchell reports. Right now, not so much traveling, so not so many Mintchell reports from on the road. Good thing. But came to mind, I write a lot about leadership. I've studied leadership ever since my undergraduate days, quite frankly, because it's, I don't know, just appealed to me. And trying to figure out what, what is leadership and what makes good leaders. And because we know leadership is so important, and you read history and you see so many, things changed because a great leader comes up. And there's a lot of different things. I've been reading lately a book and talking about, in fact, there's a lot of stuff coming out about the superstar leader that we have a lot of in business, where they're paying tons of money to people to be, the superstar, and yet the most effective leaders seem to be, shall we say, more like team people, and it's we, not I so much, and all that kind of thing. But still, I learned something last month, and I never really got around to reporting on it until now. And I live in Western Ohio, and my county is a small county and gets switched in between congressional districts. And for years, I was in the 4th district. The 4th district might be most notable for, most notable for me because of Bill McCulloch. It's always Republican. I've always had a Republican congressman my entire life, and as long as I live here, I will have a Republican congressman. No big deal. But Bill McCulloch actually was instrumental in passing the Civil Rights Act. So, it's various kind of things. But our district also was the home of the infamous Michael Oxley, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act that corporate leaders of publicly traded businesses are just so fond of. That was sarcasm. Anyway, so for a little while we got switched into I think it's the 7th district. You get confused on numbers, but actually the current House Speaker, John Boehner, was my congressman for quite a few years, and then we got switched back again, and we have I'm in another district, and have a different guy you'll probably never hear of. He doesn't seem to be that stellar, at least in my opinion. But if you follow me, I don't watch TV news as absolute little as possible. So I don't see a lot of the things maybe that the rest of you see, and most of the time that's good. But the only thing I knew about John Boehner had to do with his just what his pronouncements would be that we got reported in the news, like a New York Times or something. And so what I basically, my view of him was just another one of those kind of like negative, hard-hearted, kind of like in-your-face kinds of people. And it came up last month. My wife brought it up, and of course she's watches The View, and so that's another interesting thing. But at any rate, it seems like John Boehner is a weeper, and he breaks down. And I actually saw the clip where he is he's about working his way through school, and it got all teary-eyed, and how he was kind of like felt bad about all the kids that didn't have money to get through. And I'm thinking, well, good grief, I worked my way through school, and I know a lot of people that work their way through school, and that's life, it's kind of like that. But I was thinking, there's no congruence between, that kind of attitude, and I was kind of amazed at the response of a lot of women. And I suppose if they were true believers, they would never say anything negative anyway. That's the definition of a true believer. And if you don't know what that is, read Eric Hoffer's book, Erickhoffer, Eric Hoffer. He was known as the longshoreman philosopher, and he wrote a book called The True Believer that's very interesting. But but at any rate, just kind of looking at it, you're thinking, they were saying, well, what kind of leader is this? And so I got to thinking, what's the appropriate use of emotion for a leader? Leaders must communicate. They don't all have to be public speakers, but they do have to be that if you're in politics. That's part of the thing. And so what's the proper role of emotion? Protestant, like Baptist preachers, their job is to get your emotions all aroused to come forward or whatever it is in your tradition. And other military leaders at certain levels need to get their troops fired up to go out there and get killed, and that sort of thing. And so there's all kinds of reasons why people need to do that. But I'm still amazed at the proper thing. So people were saying, well, it just doesn't fit, and do we really want weepy-eyed leaders that kind of blubber and stuff? And probably not. You probably want a more forceful emotion, although it doesn't hurt to be sad at times. And I think back to like Reagan. Reagan was such a great communicator. When I don't live in an enclave, so I don't live around all upper middle class people like a lot of people do. A lot of people live in you're in a big city and you live just around people like you. But when you live in a small town, you know everybody. And I knew a lot of people that actually economically were hurt by Reagan's policies, and yet they would still vote for him because he just sounded so sincere, and he could have emotions, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall, and things like that. And he could have other emotions, and that was cool. But he just had that like positive, confident, nice, quiet air about speaking. And something that Boehner is not showing. And Clinton was a good communicator. I didn't think he was quite as good as Reagan, but he was very good. I mean, he had a huge following, and so on. Now, if we look at presidents, then W had difficulty speaking. I would not consider him a great speaker either. And Obama is somewhere in between. He can speak clearly, but he doesn't seem to have the impact of a Reagan or a Clinton. So at any rate, I'm just curious. And so if I'm speaking to any leaders out there and you have occasions to speak, do you speak, how do you handle emotion? Can you get fired up? Can you, when things are sad, if somebody, there's a tragedy or something, you need to go out and you need to show that. But can you show emotion and communicate and do that in such a way that that you don't turn off people, that it's more of a positive characteristic even in a negative situation? And if you know me, I speak on manufacturing a lot, and just imagine if you're the spokesperson for Johnson & Johnson, who has yet another huge recall, and so you're a manufacturing person and you need to calm people down and say, hey, we're tackling the problem. You need to talk to the employees and you need to say, hey, people, we're going to have to do a better job, and you need to project all this kind of thing. And so what's the proper role of emotion? You can write back to me and let me know what you think about all that. Leave the politics out. Notice I didn't say who I voted for. I don't really care about that. I'm more interested in just people and how they react, and what kind of traits you're looking for in a leader. And certainly one thing a leader has to do is speak, and it's to be able to, I think, to come across and be positive and confident and all that sort of thing. And I quite frankly, I was shocked. I didn't know any of that about Boehner. Like I say, he'd been my congressman for probably 10 years or longer. So maybe I should watch TV. So what do you think? What about leadership and projecting and speaking part of it? What do you see? What do you think? And that sort of thing. Let me know. Gary Mintchell, G Mintchell at automationworld.com.